One of the most common questions that a lot of young startup founders always ask is, how do I actually know that I'm confident enough to take my company from zero to one? Well, truth to be told, nobody will actually know. So here's the thing: even if you are funded, fully funded, as at you may be looking at, I will have a valuations of 5 million US dollar, and somehow somebody funded you, and you will think that, hey, because of this money, I'm actually confident enough to bring the company from zero to one. Well, it may not necessarily be, because having funded is one thing, but as you know, when we are running a business, there are a lot of factors that sometimes are within our control and sometimes they are not within our control. Example, like in Blackstone Consulting, when we are always advising clientele, we always tell them that there are three things that we always have to take a look at. Number one, people, product, and process. So no matter how much you have, sometimes hiring people can be a challenge. So under people itself, it's not about just hiring the right people. Sometimes hiring the right people during that situations is good. But as the company grows over time, whoever that you hire may not necessarily be suitable as the company progresses also. So this means that you may actually have to bring in additional people or people with other skill sets. So these are some of the variables that it may be within your control, and sometimes it may not be within your control. And also not to forget, when as your company just started, you may be getting some types of customers, maybe type A type of customers, where they are very flexible because the price is reasonable or rather low just to get into the market. And then you actually have to realize that eventually, as the company grows, you may probably have to change some customers. That means some of the customers, they are more willing to pay a bit more. There are some of the customers that are a bit more premium, where the services that you rendered will probably also have to be upgraded. So also another thing that we also have to take note is that product. As your product first launch, probably is an MVP, and then you started off as a very basic one, maybe selling only 100 US dollar. But over time, as the company progress, you may probably have to customize it. You may probably have to make the products much more suitable or even localize it. And this also means that at the same time, you may probably have to look into things like licensing. You may probably have to look into things like compliance that fits the legal frameworks of within the markets that you want to enter. So over time, all these will actually make changes. Okay, so another thing that we also have to look at is process. So people, product, and process. So the processes is quite different, especially when you first started. When you first started, things may actually be much easier. You probably have to target a certain groups of customers, certain groups of partners to tie up with, sign an MOU, sign an NDA. The processes may be quite straightforward. But as a company grows, it may actually get more complicated. So when company grows, okay, no, the processes are, you may probably have to get third party like legal. Maybe you need to get lawyer. Maybe you need to get consultants, or maybe you need to get financial advisors to come in. So going back to the question, so here's the thing: all of these people, product, or process, or maybe even more, can actually go haywire. So it is actually quite difficult to tell you immediately that, oh, I just got funded, or maybe how do I actually ensure that my company will be very successful from going from zero to one. But one good thing here is, as you start from zero in a way or on the way to go to one, you can actually learn a lot of lessons. You can learn also a lot of have a lot of exposures, get better partners, get better customers, and all that. So here's the thing: sometimes, okay, when you're running a business, it doesn't mean that you will fail overnight, or you can fail immediately. Okay, sad but true. Okay, the thing is that when we are running a business, as long as you keep looking into what's going on the day-to-day basis, okay, never let your eyes hands off, or never hands off the steering wheel. Okay, I think you are actually quite good to know that sometimes when the company is going to a certain directions, or maybe tilting towards a certain directions, you may be able to control it almost immediately. Okay, well, of course, a lot of things comes with experience, and this is why I always say that a failure of the company does not mean everything. Sometimes, a lot of times, okay, in fact, we actually have a certain control. So when we started our own company, take note, there are always different stages that you need to progress. Whereas all the stages as you progress, there will always be things that have probably, maybe a red flag, or things that can actually help you to identify that this is actually the way to go. So most importantly is that come in with eyes open, get the right people, ensure that you have the product that people are willing to pay, ensure that the processes from legal frameworks to compliance are all in place. So by checking on people, product, and process, you can probably ensure, okay, I'm using the word probably, to ensure that the company is actually on track. And along the way, if you need to scale further, okay, don't try to do it yourself alone, because without the experience of scaling a business, it is quite tough to know whether are you actually moving towards the right direction. So it is always good that if you have some spare cash, some money, okay, or even some spare shares, okay, that you can put aside, okay, get professionals, get professional managers, get third party to come in to advise you, to guide you, or probably even execute for you, because running a business is never easy, and nobody can actually tell you that they did it well on the very first try. There is, but it's rare. So my advice is focus on what you are good in, but always keep a lookout on what things may actually go wrong, and don't leave everything to other people. Have a certain level of control, but yet at the same time not to control too tight. Just go in with your eyes open, okay, ears open, mouth open. Okay, just be willing to talk, be willing to hear, and be willing to listen about all this, and be prepared to always pull the company back, align and ask questions, and also at the same time be open for advice and be open for suggestions from others also.